Hi, I am Dr. Chichi Waje, and this is the Dr. Chichi Show. It's so great to have you on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for being here. Could you please tell the audience and everyone listening who you are and what you do?
Okay. My name is Erica Davis. I am a mom of three, first and foremost. I have a nonprofit with four of my girlfriends, and we are working to make this world a better place, one woman at a time. The reason I'm here today is because my daughter, the topic of the month is Autism Awareness. April is Autism Awareness Month, and my oldest daughter, who will be 17 next month, has autism, was born with autism.
Wow. Now, I am so passionate about this topic. Apart from April being the month that awareness is raised, the families that have to deal with some of the challenges they face with having a child with autism or even multiple kids with autism makes this a very important topic.
Yes.
I used to be a caregiver for an autistic child, so that's my personal interest in making sure that more people know about this. So can you tell us a little bit about how you found out, like how did it feel, what was it like? Just share a little bit about that.
It was a range of emotions when we initially found out. I noticed something when she was a little older than 2 years old. It took us a long time to find out, actually from the doctors, to get the diagnosis of autism, but I did notice some things around the age of 2. She was a premature baby, but she grew in the top percentile of her age group. Walked on time, spoke her first words on time. After 2, I noticed some regression in her, and so took her to several physicians. As she grew older and older in age, we would get everything from ADHD to maybe it's something else, some gastrointestinal issues, and it wasn't until going to our 12th doctor at the age of 8 that she was diagnosed with autism.
Wow.
The emotions for me were up and down. It was, even though the information was there for autism, it didn't hit home for me. So my mission and purpose is to make sure I get that out to other families who are dealing with the same thing that we've gone through, and make it a little bit easier, because it is hard.
I do agree because this was about 17 years ago, right?
Yes.
And it took that long for doctors to put their hands around it, call it what it is, and actually get the right resources and the treatment. But going from different behavior patterns, just not being able to understand the teachers and the schools and just the child herself, not being able to know exactly how to best deal with this. I think it's the hardest part because some people just out in the community might see a child in a store, maybe just having a meltdown. And it's easy for them not to recognize that this child might actually have autism.
Right.
Because some children, physically, you can't even tell. But it's just some of the time it may be brain activity or some type of medication that they take, and it's hard for everybody involved, right?
Yes.
Like the teachers, even in the church, or just social skills
Yes.
in general. Can you describe some of the things that maybe some people can look out for as a flag, and just from your personal experience?
Right. Autism is a condition of the body where your mind, for most folks or most children who are diagnosed with it, it's a condition that affects the nonverbal skills, the cognitive learning, and social ability of a child. And so for us, growing and learning, we read certain books We tried to ask the doctors, other family members. It was still it seemed so far away for us in order to get our hands around it, her father and I think what we had to come to terms with was that we're not going to know everything about it. But at the same time, what would work for us, because it's not a cookie cutter way of trying to get or understand or how we can work for our child. What might work for my child may not work for your child. However, the most thing that we must learn is that love, and that we keep the time and space for ourselves to have our own moments to where we can all step away, because you cannot pour from an empty cup. And so you need to take time as a parent for yourself so you can come back to your child and take care of them as best you can, and wrap yourself around a support system that can help you in those times. It is not an easy venture, and we can get to talking about some organizations that can help with that.
Sure, absolutely. Now, another alarming thing is that it's actually becoming a global crisis.
Yes.
There's been a rise. If you can talk a little bit about some of the numbers, and it may not even be an updated number, but it's based on the research so far. Can you tell us, based on probably 17 years ago and now, how much is out there? Because this is something people need to be talking about.
When my daughter was born, it was 1 in 300 children would be born with autism or a developmental disability. 10 years ago, it was 1 in 120. Today, it is 1 in 60. That means for you and I, your children and your grandchildren, they will have to either be in an environment where they're working, socializing on a daily basis with someone with a disability or perhaps autism. So it's growing, it's shortening in number as the amount of number of children that are born with it. So we as a society have to become more empathetic, understanding, and knowledgeable when it comes to dealing with this ability. Because I do not want to call it a disability.
Yes.
So differently abled is what the school therapist at my daughter's school calls it. So I would like us to share with other people the empathy that we would want if this is your child, if this is your relative, this is your friend, to come together for that. But it is shortening in number.
Okay, so just to clear this up, autism and ADHD are not one and the same. There could be a superimposition, but they are not always diagnosed together, right?
Right.
Okay.
ADHD is attention deficit hyperactive disorder, and autism is a separate, autism spectrum disorder, ASD, is a separate developmental disability altogether.
Absolutely.
Yes, but they can, sometimes they are hand in hand, but they are not diagnosed at the same time all the time.
Okay, so you mentioned a very important word, the spectrum.
Yes.
Autism has a wide spectrum.
Wide spectrum.
So you may find one person needing some level of care, some level of management. So management is really a key that is laced with love.
Yes.
Because each of these children, the more I run into them in my own personal just observation, even when I don't have direct dealing with the child, they come up with a very unique gift.
Yes.
So if every child who is born with autism can be looked at with love, there's always either they sing very well but they have a way of doing repetitive activities too, like going back over and over the same thing. What they are used to, they don't like too much change. But I'm just saying the empathy and the ability to see beyond what you think you can see is to see what can be done to better equip the parents and even the Sunday school teachers or the teachers in the school. Some teachers have had to go through special education, right?
Yes.
But some kids don't need to be in a special education classroom, right? Some can actually function in a mainstream. That's why you're saying it's not a cookie cutter solution for every child.
You may encounter some individuals with autism that are highly functional. So that's why the spectrum is so wide, because you have different variations. There are autism diagnosis where the kids are verbal, and then there are some where they're nonverbal. So you have different variations, and so you cannot treat everything the same. And I think that's why we have to each one teach one, get a better understanding of how it comes to be in a sense, and start from there and work our way up. And what I dealt with my daughter for anyone else who's going out there, and you have to understand that you're the first advocate for your children. So what I dealt with in the time was, for the school system, because they aren't aware, and this is so new and it's hitting so quickly, with it going from 1 in 300 to 1 in 1 in 60. They set the bar fairly low for our children who have disabilities. And so we want to make sure that we kind of set the bar a little bit higher, so that way we're not having everyone under the same realm of, okay, they can only do this here, they can only do that there, but they can do a range of things. Far more better than I could sometimes. So
absolutely. Now there are even some countries that have medications that they are using that other countries may have moved on based on research. And also diet is a big part of what some people have seen, that certain diets work better for the kids. And there's just so much information and so much resources, that can be passed along so that everyone is better understood. And also the question about, why is there such a higher prevalence? What is changing in the community, in the society, so that can be addressed, so that it doesn't get to be more and more children being found out that, have autism. And another thing is, sometimes the parent may have one child out of 3 or out of 4. It may be 2 kids. If there's no real order to know, okay, the first child had it, the others didn't have it, or a middle child had it. I mean, it's still a confounding condition. I would call it a health condition that is still being looked at. So we really wanted to go forward to have an event. So can we talk a little bit about the upcoming event?
Yes.
Can you tell everyone about that?
Sure. April 26th, 2019, from 6:30 to 8 p.m., we will be having an event here at the Peacock House, the World of Autism. We would like for everyone to come out, bring your friends, bring your family, children. If you know someone with autism, if you know a representative that can speak on the different issues, we'll have doctors, panelists, parents here to discuss everything. We'll reach out with love, empathy, sharing, and caring.
Absolutely. Okay. Now, I just want to say one last thing from me. There's something called the Code of Silence, which was almost like a coping mechanism that I developed from being a caregiver myself. And I would love to share that at that event. But also, I told you about a book I read about autism, which I didn't read until much later, after I had done the caring and the giving and the managing and the loving, which was the exact textbook representation of everything I saw. But the author summarized it by saying that the people, the families that seem to cope the best with autism seem to be the ones that prayed.
Yes.
And that really summed it up, because it's beyond you. The child you're trying to love, you might think they don't even appreciate all that it takes. But you see, it's really something within you that has to keep loving, and has to keep believing for something bigger, like you said, a higher standard, not just whatever is a minimum.
Absolutely.
So I do thank you so much, and I want to say that you also serve as a place of comfort, almost like a support group that you're forming. Can you tell some of the parents who may be struggling or don't know how to go about handling this, some of the things you do also, so they can be drawn to you that way as well?
Okay. For me, prayer changes everything. It wasn't until I set myself down and I let God handle it that I was able to get at least through the day. And now it is such a wonderful thing. And my purpose is to be there and to build a foundation for my daughter to live after me. So with that, I want to make sure. So the question was,
sure, like you're forming that foundation and that support group, right? So people can contact you for questions and just to share from your own personal experience, right?
The website is being built.
Can you share how they can reach you, please?
Sure. The website is being built, but they can reach me through Everything Erica Lauren, and I'll spell that. Everything, spelled it just the way it is. Erica, ERICA, Lauren, LAWREN. It's all one word, at gmail.com. Everything Erica Lauren at gmail.com.
Okay. Now, it's so important for anyone who is out there who does not understand, how to go forward. It could be a parent, it could be a grandparent, it could be a relation. Now we know that autism is not just you alone having to handle it. There are actually resources, but also Autism Speaks.
Autism
is a
Speaks,
good
yes.
resource place for people.
Or autismsociety.org.
Okay,
Yes.
okay.
Either of those are
All right.
great
Resources.
yes, resources.
Okay. Believe me, if you call them also on the phone, they will pick up the phone and talk to you based on what your family is going through. So don't feel alone. I just want to say we are so honored and so proud of you.
Thank you so much.
For what you have done, and her daughter is a beauty. She is amazing, just exudes personality, and we are looking forward to whoever can come on Friday, April the 26th. Autism Month is the month of April, but remember that there are families that live all year round having to cope with this. So thank you again for being on the Dr. Chichi show. It was a pleasure having you. Thank you.
Dr. Chichi Show!